Oh, I loved it. Seeing the interacting with them and having the them not being able to speak English and us not being able to speak Spanish for the most part. Just like trying to talk with each other was so much fun. Seeing them smile 24/7 when they looked at us was just something incredible.
So on Friday we played Nueva Segovia. We got to face an ex-All-Star who played with the Rangers and the Phillies and a couple other teams named Vicente Padilla, and it was a large crowd. We got a lot of people out to that game, having a night game, and we were honestly kind of got shocked because we gave up 7 runs in the first inning, and we were like, oh dang, like these guys came to play. So then we had to step back on it, and we ended up putting up 10 or 11 runs in 2 innings. But to have that environment, I know all the guys loved it because it was actually came down to be a tight game at the end, and we got to experience what a big time Nicaraguan night game looks like against a professional team. Share the gospel and pray for everybody after the game. Do jersey swaps. Like that was an amazing experience because we got to build relationships with those guys that we played against.
How y'all feeling before game 2?
Bueno.
Bueno.
Muy bueno. Muy bien. Mucho gusto baseball. You said nice to meet baseball. Nice to meet you. Put it up.
All right, so on Saturday, we played Madriz. If you're standing on home plate, you just look out, and it's just the fence, and there's just mountains everywhere. As far as just the playing goes, I mean, it was such a good time. I don't know, it's just really fun to see that different culture, to see how they play the games. But I mean, it was still just such a good time. They threw some good arms, they had some good hitters, but we smacked the ball around that game, and it was just a really good time playing. Just being able to pray and just hang around those guys and just experiencing the culture while playing the game of baseball, doing what we love, it's just such a good time.
The Olympics was to pick the captain for our split inter-squad scrimmage that we played on the field nearby. Little bocce ball, cornhole, basketball, and soccer, and just things we don't normally do. We don't typically play that with each other.
Really enjoyed myself Monday, mixing up the Americans from Belmont and the Nicaraguans. We did a little draft to kind of break up the teams, make them pretty even, so I enjoyed that a lot.
Throw strikes, they can't hit. We're the better team, flat out. Just throw strikes. Equipo más bueno. Para Estados Unidos.
Yeah, baby! Yeah, baby!
Prior first AB in a little bit, how are we feeling?
Feeling good, feeling real confident. Been working for this. I know he throwing on the mound, good stuff. So just hope for the best right here.
Send that ball to the mountain.
What's the first pitch gonna be?
It's gonna be a middle fastball. So he's not gonna touch it. Oh! What'd I tell you?
And also got to pitch, so being a position player, you don't get to do those things every day, and no, I just love being around the guys and kind of a fun, light-hearted atmosphere. So it was awesome.
Hopped off the bus, went straight into BP. Got into the game, we had William on the bump, who's a local in Mizante. He started us off well and scored in the first. Then we went dry in the middle innings. We made it a close game. We lost by 2. I think it was 6-4. But after the game was a really special time where we could just come together as a community and just talk to one another and switch jerseys and pray with one another too. And that was a really cool experience. Yeah, it's definitely something I'm not going to forget. Just being able to play in a whole different country. And just being able to meet and play against players that I'm probably never going to see again. So,
Well, it's I don't think really anything beats that. But when you're hanging around with the guys and playing bocce ball or bags, there's nothing really better. I mean, you can't beat it. And getting to do that every day, mixed in with following God and playing some ball, you can't really beat that.
It was actually incredible. I knew a couple of the Full Count guys before, so that was kind of nice, kind of like reconnecting with them, and y'all really kind of welcomed us with open arms, and it was a pleasure.
You didn't see people just sitting there on their phones, and sitting in bed on their phones. Everyone was constantly doing something. The games was one of my favorite parts of the trip.
We spend so much time together as a team. A lot of the time that we're together competing, it's ultra serious, and so getting to just lay back and literally just have time to play spike ball, bocce ball, cornhole. It just helps us grow as a team, and I think that's a big part of team chemistry for sure that could come out to playing on the field. And we've got 4 or 5 new guys that are transferring into our team that decided to come on this trip. In the week that we've been here, I feel like they're already a full part of the team because we've been able to fellowship so much and grow.
It was good to have those guides and those power hours and just to read the scripture first and then kind of have that prompt. The overall theme of just putting baseball into scripture, one was just cool because of course I love baseball, but then also just made me understand everything a lot more.
Yeah, it just kind of showed me the power of God. When you sit down and you're by yourself and then with Him in the Word and the studies, it's just kind of you see how great the power is, and something I just never really done before is being by myself and diving into the words that He's saying in that book, and just really good stuff came out of it for me.
For me, it's always, I feel like a lot of people on the team as well, it's hard to slow down. So just being able to sit down, turn your phone off, and actually read the gospel is something that I feel like I need to do every single day now.
The devotionals just kind of showed we're not in this alone. This stuff that I deal with, stuff that other people deals with, and even if they don't match up the same, it's we're all fighting the same battle. And getting into small groups, just finding ways to fight those battles together and get through these storms that we're going through, and having accountability and knowing what we're supposed to do and fighting it instead of just kind of giving in to the temptation or just saying that's who I am. But being able to step back and have people there to help you and get through the storms and just use the power of God.
It was awesome for me. I loved that, the groups we got to split into. I think there was a lot of really great conversation that we got out of that. And it just so happened, in my group, we had a lot of guys that had similar, paths and beginnings, and we really got to relate on a deeper level through those mini groups and talking each and every night. So I enjoyed it thoroughly.
So my small group was really good. We had both perspectives of Spates and Reed, so kind of the younger adult and the older adult. So that was nice kind of hearing both of their perspectives on life.
Our small groups were super intentional, and I loved them a lot because we were able to take what we talked about in the larger Devo group and then just really break down barriers, and they did a great job of leading and just kind of being able to connect to us and not only connect to us but give us advice, and when they were able to show us that they've been through the same things that we have and that they've walked through the same paths that we've walked through, then it was just kind of eye-opening to each guy in our group, we're not alone in our battles and we have each other to grow with and walk along. And it actually inspired I think 5 or 6 of the guys that we already got another small group that's going to be kind of intentionally like the small groups that we have that we're going to take back to Nashville and start on our own team.
I feel like our group was perfect for me. I had just a couple other guys who kind of had the same relationship with God going into it. It just felt like our group was perfect for myself. It was no coincidence that all of us were in that group together, and so every conversation we had was deep. All of us were being vulnerable, and it was just perfect. I loved it.
I feel like any song, musically, you can get into a good chorus that everybody sings along to or something, but to hear the powerful words that were spoken over us, and not only words of healing, but words of power and encouragement out of the song lyrics, were extremely powerful to the guys and to each one of us, no matter where we were in our walks. in our spiritual walks.
And I'm one of those guys that's not afraid to sing, and so I love just singing at the top of my lungs. Do that and hearing all the guys singing around me.
The best part I liked about worship was the song choice. Those really hit home for me. I feel like everyone, that's what most people were talking about throughout the mission house, was how much they could relate to the songs, and just kind of like the songs really got into your heart. And
Spates really did a great job this week in terms of worship. I mean, that was probably one of the most powerful like worship sessions I've ever been a part of. Like even there, like he found a way to just like really express his true feelings. Just show us what, you know, what's been eaten at his heart. That's where I feel God the most, is during worship. The songs that we were able to sing, and just the message that he was trying to get across really hit me, and I think a lot of us on the team.
I feel like as a team, you're kind of scared to be vulnerable with each other, just because everyone wants to be like super hardo and just tries to be like macho man. And this week kind of broke all those walls down and let everyone see like everyone's soft side.
Hearing all the guys' stories, you know, like especially being a man around baseball, like it's really good to hear men open up about themselves and really tell the truth to you and just be vulnerable. And I think that's like a really good step in just like knowing Jesus, is like knowing that even though you're a man, like you can be vulnerable and have feelings and emotions and like share those with the Lord.
The model of all the coaches and men that were on the trip, whether they were Full Count Ministry or came along with the team, they did an amazing job of leading us, showing us who God is and how to love God, but then also being vulnerable enough to tell us the things that they've struggled with so that we can connect to them. And then when guys had things that they were struggling with, or they wanted to learn or wanted to grow, we could easily pull one of them aside, and they would be super intentional about loving on us, praying for us, and pointing us in the right direction in the Bible of like, where do we need to go and how can we grow and heal from this. And
last night we talked about kind of being in the stale place with the Lord, just knowing you're sinning and not really doing anything about it. And hearing that from a grown man really kind of put it in the perspective of myself, and something I need to work on when we get back to Nashville. Seeing grown men cry kind of hits a soft spot in your heart. It gets to you.
It changed immensely. I mean, going into this trip, I was one of those guys, when we did that introduction circle, I really didn't have any relationship with Jesus. Everything came together, and I realized that I needed to definitely just, first of all, just make the step to have a relationship. And then once I decided to do that, just strengthen that relationship, and then try as hard as I can just to have a solid, concrete relationship with Jesus.
We went up to Arsenia's house way up high. I think we're 4,000 feet.
The ride up there was just awesome. I mean, we're all standing in the trucks with the bars and just like seeing the landscape as we go up, walking up through the cornfields up on the mountains and standing on the rocks and being able to, it seems like you can see the whole world.
Got to sit on the rocks and overlook and just sing worship to the Creator. It just completely put everything in perspective of what we were doing and who we were serving and the power that the Lord has and the goodness that He has, because you could look down over that valley and it was so peaceful and just the perfect setting to be in, to look out and see like this is what the Lord has made and that we should rejoice and serve Him in all that we do.
I was just taken away. I've never been taken away by something like that in my entire life.
And then finally, as we all huddled around the fire, as it got dark and we just had the stars above us,
is something truly special. The campfire, and he brought out the coffee. Coffee was amazing.
And Nathan gave his testimony. After the Devo that Nate gave was really good, and then singing by the fire, I stood up and went to go get saved, and Reed prayed over me, and it was just one of those experiences that I'm so thankful that happened. And it just hit me like a truck. It was everything on me at once, and I got up at the right time. John had just finished up with somebody, and I just grabbed him and hugged him as long as I could, and cried on his shoulder. And he prayed for me, and just him being there was probably one of the biggest things for me.
Joe came up to me, and he hugged me, and after a moment he began praying for me and helped me just give my life to Christ. And I shed tears a lot, And when that happened, like it was surreal. Like I finally felt like I heard Christ speak to me. I don't hope this will be a moment where I'm going to continue my life with Christ and actually work towards something, and I'm not going to be a fake this time. And I won't let that happen to myself. So yeah.
We woke up this morning and like the first thing I said to Jack sitting next to me was like, Rando, this last night was a dream. Like that didn't happen.
I've been planning this trip for years now. Been talking with members of the Full Count Ministry about it and what they were doing here in Nicaragua and other places for almost a decade.
Well, I think it was a wonderful opportunity for the guys to think deeply about who they are with the Lord and who they are with each other. A lot of great opportunities for spiritual impact. I had several conversations throughout the week, one-on-one, with the guys who came to me and asked me about things that they'd been thinking about and things that were really a result of their the teaching, of the preaching.
But for each and every one of them, I think it's going to be a life experience that is going to give them much to reflect upon and much to grow from. And I think that it plants a lot of seeds that are going to bear fruit, if not immediately, in years to come. The reality of the trip and coming down here this week, I just am thrilled with the way that the things have unfolded and the way that they've gotten to experience so many different wonderful things that I think that they'll remember for the rest of their life. I honestly do.